Hi, we're at 1500 High Point Street, Los Angeles, 90035. If you go that way, it's 1522 High Point Street. And 1522 High Point Street, that's the subject of a different video. But today we're talking about 1500 High Point Street. 1500 High Point Street, 3 houses are going to be demolished. And there's going to be a 45 unit luxury apartment building. What we're concerned with, for one thing, is what about the street parking? You can see up and down this street now, which is High Point and Saturn at 90035, Los Angeles. Parking is very tight. And when this building goes up, when they start the construction, they start the demolition, they're going to take away all these parking stalls. Right now we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parking stalls on this side. If you go around the corner, you have another 6 or so parking stalls. All those parking stalls are going to go. Keep it on me, because we're going to go on the other side, and you know we'll be able to see all of them from there. What I'd like to see is a moratorium on the elimination of parking in Los Angeles. This lady's gonna. You're trying to get in. You probably want to go around the other side.
Where?
Yeah, when you go on the other side, right before you get to the next house, there's an opening.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. You're welcome. Okay. Here we are. Going on time. Oh, what we're concerned about here, since I live in the neighborhood, is there should be a moratorium on the non-elimination of parking. Parking stalls for all these new developments going up should not be eliminated. Should not be eliminated during construction or after construction. And let's see how we can do that. If you look at the sidewalk area here, obviously the sidewalk to the right is for the property owner. To the left is basically the city's property. What we can do is pull that curb back about 2 feet, and we can almost shorten the sidewalk so that when we pull the curb back, there'll be more space down the middle of the street. We'll pull the curb back on this side only, and not only will there be more parking when traffic is coming down the street, but also we'll pull the curb back, we'll pull the whole property line back just maybe a foot, and so the cars will actually be, the parking will actually be indented. So the parking would be back maybe about almost a whole car space back, because it'll make the sidewalk shorter. So that's my idea of how we can make sure that we don't lose parking stalls when these new developments go up. And right now this area at High Point and Saturn cannot afford to lose 10 parking stalls, because already parking over here is already very dense. The parking is so dense over here that the city has an actual ordinance that says if you are paying for parking or you have parking in your apartment building, the value of parking in this area is $200 per month. So if you have a parking stall in your apartment building and it's under rent control and you lose that parking stall, you could possibly be entitled to a $200 per month rent reduction from the property owner because you lost your parking. So that's the value of parking in these areas like High Point and Saturn, zip code 90035. That's good. Ready? We're at 1500 High Point Street, Los Angeles 90035, and in the background here you can see the pink houses, 3 houses that are set for demolition, and replacing them will be a 45 unit luxury apartment building built by MRAD of Culver City, California. What we're concerned with is, of course, fair housing, because there's a lack of fair housing in Los Angeles. And we're here at MRAD to help assure that there's fair housing for every person that comes out that wants to lease out of this building, which will start construction in about 2 or 3 months from now. As you can see, there's a lot of parking around the building right now, but usually in these type of developments, the parking will be eliminated. You're moving it too fast, so if you move it that fast, it's going to be just going to be hard to see. So I have to edit it. Usually in these developments, the parking is eliminated and the stalls do not come back. So right now we have, parking spaces for about, you can see about maybe 6 cars on one side and 6 cars on the left, which would be the other side of the building. Normally those parking stalls will be eliminated permanently. We're here to try to appeal to the developer that the parking stalls not be eliminated and that the developer dedicate to keeping the parking stalls by moving back the property line as far as whatever construction they're going to build. Move it back so that there's going to be more space in the street as it is now, and move it back so during construction and after construction no parking spaces are eliminated. So we're here to support a moratorium in Los Angeles, a moratorium against the non-elimination, or moratorium in support of the non-elimination of street parking due to development. So we'd like to see all those parking spaces on both sides, move the property line back, move the curb setting back, and then the stalls will remain, the parking space will remain on this side, and parking space will remain on that side. That's it. That's it. Hi. Yeah. This is the construction site for a 45-unit apartment complex. This complex will most likely have an intercom system. An intercom system is for the security of the tenants, the security and the safety. The Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety, and also the Housing Department, or Housing Community Investment, will have a hand in this because the Building and Safety Department must give a certificate of occupancy to the building. Certificate of occupancy, also known as a CFO, is what clears the building as far as safety, security, the plumbing, the electrical, and without the CFO, the building will not be able to be occupied by tenants. So, this is the same Department of Building and Safety that has jurisdiction over other buildings in the city of Los Angeles. In fact, they have jurisdiction over all buildings in the city of Los Angeles. And under the Building and Safety Code, which is a state law, they have jurisdiction over, quote, all portions, unquote, of a building. For some reason, recently we discovered that there is a lack of diligence on the part of city employees, and that we've been told a number of times by city employees that for some reason those employees feel that the state building and safety code does not apply to those inspectors. In other words, building inspectors have said they do not have jurisdiction over all portions of buildings in Los Angeles. This results in a problem because in this new building going up, which will be 45 units, there will be an intercom system. In fact, up and down High Point Street, if you look, you'll see other apartment buildings, you'll see other condos, and basically many of them have an intercom system. So somehow the city of Los Angeles feels that an intercom system, which is there for safety and security, is somehow discretionary, when actually it's not discretionary because it's part of the building that you have given a certificate of occupancy to. Another way of putting it is that the intercom is a housing service because it is in these buildings for the benefit and for the use of the tenants. So when this 45 unit building goes up, there will be an intercom system that is for the use of the tenants. The city ordinance of Los Angeles clearly defines a housing service as something that is there for the use of the tenant. And they clearly state it as including but not limited to. So in other words, there may be something that's not in your rental agreement per se, or there may be something that's not per se in the housing ordinance, but the ordinance says very clearly including but not limited to. So even if your device or something in your apartment is there for your use, it was put there by the owner, even if it's not listed per se in the city ordinance, it is including but not limited to. So the question will be here, we know that LADBS will come out and inspect these 45 units to make sure they can be occupied and to make sure that the intercom system is working. What we can't figure out is why that standard does not apply to 1522 High Point Street, which is a couple of doors away, 1522 High Point Street, where LADBS, Code Enforcement, Housing Community Investment, Rent Control Department, all these city agencies and employees have refused to cite the owner, High Point Apartments LLC, for the non-operational intercom system. It is working for about 15 tenants, but for 3 other tenants, including one black tenant, this system's not working. And it hasn't been working for 3 years. In fact, the black tenant has been skipped over for intercom maintenance time and time again, month after month after month. Can you say fair housing? Can you say intercom system? So residents in this area and those who would like to move into 1500 High Point Street will have to pay attention to LADBS and HCIDLA to see if your tax dollars are being used for racism or corruption. Because the city not only gets tax dollars from city residents, the city of Los Angeles also gets federal money. So is that federal money being used for purposes of discrimination? Because as you'll see later on in this video, the city of Los Angeles employees and departments are under a mandatory duty not to practice discrimination against any resident of the city of Los Angeles. We are quoting from an email of June 6, 2017 at 9:53 p.m. entitled Second Request for Verification of Rent Amount, Taking of Rent Monies for Criminal Fraud. This was an email to Williams Real Estate Advisors, High Point Apartments LLC, Mayor Eric Garcetti, High Point Resident Manager Cynthia Ogan. Also copied to the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. Ali Mozanar, maintenance. City employees Robert Galardi, Presiliano Sandoval, Lee Smith, and Daniel Williams. I have been told by Walter Barrett that you have been leasing agent for this building for 3 years and also that you manage other properties. Seems you would also already have access to the building history and rent agreements, since Walter says you have been his agent for over 3 years. There is no waiver here that the illegal rent includes the illegal rent increases due to reduction in parking and reduction in maintenance to the intercom. Illegal rents is noted to yourself. My rent money goes to pay for the salaries and agreements between the owner and his agent, which includes you, the maintenance person, the resident manager, and the management company. How long does it take for a white person to say, quote, "We will fix your bathroom sink today," unquote? And how long does it take for a white person to say, quote, "We will fix your intercom today," unquote? How long does it take, Jade? Can you understand English? Again, that was a letter written from tenant number 9 at 1522 High Point Street, and that was written to the leasing agency and also maintenance company for High Point Apartments at 1522 High Point Street. We have another email here. This was written on June 9th at 10:02 p.m. And this was to the same people I just listed, in addition also to Bryan Kirkness and James Blythe. Those are 2 LADBS inspectors making over $100,000 per year. And they actually came out to the 1522 High Point Street address within the last month or two. Williams Real Estate Advisors management team takes over racism duties at High Point Apartments. Everything in this unit for the use of the tenant should be in working order. The intercom is not in working order. When will the repair or replacement be addressed? It has been over 1,125 days, over 3 years, since the owner and Williams Real Estate Advisors first had actual constructive knowledge of the need for intercom repair. My understanding is that the intercom system is for the safety and security of white tenants, yet the system under the over 3-year watch of Williams Real Estate Advisors Incorporated remains not fully operational. 3 units are not working. Yet you continue to collect my rent money without providing the needed repairs to the intercom, bathroom, water, etc. Most reasonable people would consider the intercom system a safety housing service, especially in view of the tenant who wrote the owner and others and government employees that there was the imminent danger from a, quote, terrorist, unquote, in the building. The intercom is for the purpose of safety. Yet the Williams Real Estate Advisors letter received June 9th, 2017 does not mention the intercom system that you are full aware of because of the control box at the front of the building in plain public view, and I am sure you have advertised the intercom as a housing service and privilege in order to get whites to lease apartments here. Okay, that was from a letter that was June 9th, 2017. And let's see, on June 15th, we have an email here that went to the same people indicating that the water pressure in the bathroom sink at this address remains incorrect and should be cited by the city code enforcement. The intercom at this address remains unusable and should be cited by code enforcement, LADBS, and rent control, including Rushmore, Cervantes, and Raymond Chan. When a housing service has been denied or substandard, it is illegal under the city ordinances for the owner to collect or demand any rent at all. The non-working intercom is substandard housing. Therefore, the rent amount that is being demanded represents an illegal rent. Now let's see, we'll go back to 1500 High Point Street. The Millennium Panthers were on hand recently, around June 15th, and they were there to tour 1522 High Point Street as well as 1500 High Point Street. The Millennium Panthers have visited the Pinks and are investigating race claims on High Point Street. Garcetti's racist Los Angeles Gestapo stormtroopers failed to order the intercom repair. And you'll see on the internet that there's copies of the notice to comply to 1522 High Point Street owner, but there's no mention of the intercom system. Isn't that convenient? Because right across the hallway from the black tenant lives a tenant who is white. And that white tenant has had a working intercom for over 2 years. So the black person doesn't have one, the white person does. The black person has one in their unit, but it needs repair. The white person gets one that's brand new and working order. Can you say unfair housing? This is happening all across America. And who actually is paying any attention? As if to say, black person, you don't need no intercom. Just stick your head out the window and holler. Videos will be posted soon showing city employee Gestapo stormtroopers who inspected High Point apartments around March 15, 2017, to tell a black he is not entitled to intercom service, same as white citizens in the building. You'll see the white inspectors, and you'll see them being told about the intercom system over and over and over again. And yet, there's no indication that they're going to cite the property owner and tell him to fix the intercom. The interesting thing about any housing service in the city of Los Angeles under rent control laws is that the city government has the authority under the ordinances to make the repairs to these properties and to bill the owner at a cost of 50% over whatever the cost was to make the repair.